Today is June 15th,
Uh-huh.
and we are here at my parents' home, Perry Somerville and Katherine Somerville, and we just want to take this opportunity to get some wisdom from them and just to learn about their journey on the life that God has granted them. So I'm going to start with my dad, and I just want my dad to tell us how old he is, how old he is, where he was born, and birthday.
Okay. Again, as my daughter just stated, my name is Perry Somerville. I was born in Pickens, Arkansas, in December the 27th, 1935. My dad's name is Moran Somerville. My mother's name is Azalee Somerville. I don't remember too much. I don't remember my mother at all because I understand that she died in childbirth with my sister. And so I was told I was 1 year old at the time. So actually, my grandmother, whose name was Mary Wiley, and my grandfather in the home that I knew of. Apparently, my grandmother and grandfather, Johnny Somerville, separated, divorced, and so I was raised in the home with my step grandfather, which was just a beautiful, wonderful young man to me. So this is the childhood and raising that I knew of and that I can talk about.
And
So
what was his name?
his name was what was this?
Lonnie.
John, what?
Lonnie.
Lonnie, yeah. Lonnie,
Wiley.
well, Lonnie Wiley. My grandmother said that he really wasn't a fond of babies. I am the only baby that he ever took up time with, and he was just wonderful. He was employed by the owner of the plantation, which was named R.A. Pickens, and I can remember during the winter months, him coming home each night. I can see that black wool overcoat now that he was wearing, and he used to have candy bars sticking up out the pocket of that coat, and he just got a joy in seeing me running over to get a bar of that candy. So
And his name was Lonnie
yeah, Lonnie Wiley.
Wiley.
Uh-huh.
Now, just to get clarification, is this your father's parents or your mother's parents?
My father's parents.
Okay.
Right.
Did you know your grandparents on the other side, your mom's mom and dad?
I remember my grandmother's name was I remember Tempe.
Tempe.
Yeah, Tempe. And Grandpa Tempe, I remember him. I don't remember my grandmother on my mother's side too well. I guess the main reason I remember my grandfather because he had what they call was the posse. He
Okay.
used to just sit, and I can remember his hand, just going like that. And I'm concerned about my hand because my hand shakes the same way. And I mentioned to my doctor, do I have what is called a pause? And he just brushed it right off. He didn't seem to be worried too much about it.
What was your grandmother's maiden name on your mother's side?
My
Like
grandmother,
your mother's maiden name?
I'm not sure if the last name, Washington.
Washington.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's Asley Washington?
It was my mother's maiden name.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was her, and her mother's name was, we don't know.
No.
And then the grandfather's name was
Tempe. Yeah.
okay. So we're going to come over to mom. Again, just state how old you are, your birthday, where you were born, and just how this journey started for you.
Well, okay, my name was Katherine Hendricks, Katherine Hendricks,
Uh-huh.
and I was born in October 1st, 1935, and
Where were you born?
I was born in Shawls, Arkansas,
To whom?
to Hursley and George Hendricks.
Okay. Just speaking about um, your parents, where were they born?
They were born there in Arkansas also.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother, I guess, same place, Middle Spring, I think she was. And my daddy was outskirts there somewhere, but
Daddy talked about how he was born and some of his childhood memories from a little boy. Can you share some of that with us? Some of your earliest childhood memories.
well, my earliest childhood memory is that we lived down in Shaw's, and they lived like on a little hill at my uncle Edmund's place, and it was the country. And I remember us walking up and down the little dirt road, going and visit some of our other relatives
Okay.
there.
And Daddy talked about his grandparents. I want to hear about your parents' parents.
Well, my dad's mother, grandmother Daisy Stewart,
Mm-hmm.
she was Daisy Turner, but then she married and was Daisy Stewart. And I remember her, she lived in Hope, Arkansas, and we used to go there and visit her. And then we moved, and my dad,
His mother was Daisy.
yeah,
And her husband, your grandfather.
I don't think they were married.
Oh.
It was Luther Hendricks. His father was named Luther Hendricks,
Okay.
which I didn't know too much about. I think I saw him one time. I didn't know too much about my dad's father, but I knew a lot about my grandmother's side of the Turner family. I did, yes.
Okay. So that was your father's mother and father. What about your mom's parents?
My mother's mother was named Sophrony, and my mother's mother's named Sophrony, which I didn't know. She died when my mother was about 5, 7 or something like that. So I didn't even get to meet her. But I know there was about 14 children of them, in which I know most of them and got to know them.
So your mother, Hursley Hendricks, had 13 siblings.
Yes.
So 14.
How
How many boys, how many girls?
Now, I don't know that. I don't know. Probably about 6 and 6, 12 of them I probably
And that
remember.
was all back in Shaw's?
Shaw's, Arkansas, yes.
Okay. So is there anything else that you remember growing up? You know, Daddy talked about seeing his grandfather coming home from work with candy sticking out of his pockets. What are some of your earliest childhood fond memories?
I don't know. I mean, my earliest is that they were together.
Your parents?
My parents was. And I remember they said when they got married, they just went to a cotton patch and the guy stopped plying and married them, and she went home and my dad went home.
They didn't go home together.
No, they didn't go home together at first.
But they were married by a minister.
Minister, yeah,
Who stopped working, married
in a
them,
cotton
and they went
patch, yeah,
their own
applying,
way.
and then they went their own way just for that night, I think, and then afterwards, they end up going and staying with probably Uncle Edmund, his uncle, which he was very, very close to.
Okay. So, Daddy, I'm gonna come back to you. So, I need to know if you have any siblings.
Like I said, the one sister that died in childbirth,
Right.
and then later on, I found this is really after we were married. I found out that I do have a sister that lives in Philadelphia. Yeah, and,
Okay.
right, and so
So you were brought up in
Pickens,
Pickens,
Arkansas, right.
and your mother passed away in childbirth, and your sister. Then you were raised by your two sets of grandparents.
Hmm.
And where was your father? And how did that transition happen? What took place at that time, shortly after your mother passed away?
Okay. The next memory I have, the earliest memory I have, that my father moved to St. Louis, where he got married. I understand he was married a couple times, but
Moran Somerville.
Moran Somerville. He married. Um, Her name was Mary.
In St. Louis.
Yeah, is that her name? Was that her name?
Not the second wife or his third wife.
The third wife,
Third wife was
Ma-
Mary Campbell.
Mary Campbell. Yeah,
Okay.
right. And so I remember that he used to come home. He used to come home in
Back
Arkansas.
to Pickens.
Yeah, on Christmas, to see us, and then they would go back to St. Louis to live.
Okay.
Right.
So, and you were around what age do you?
My earliest that I can remember, I probably was around 6 years old, probably.
So tell us
Just,
about that childhood with your grandparents.
I had a beautiful childhood. My grandparents that raised me, Mary, her name was Mary too, my grandmother, Mary Wiley and Lonnie Wiley. I guess I had every excuse to be a spoiled brat but as you can see, I'm not
Mom, are
spoiled.
you saying he's spoiled?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Tell by some of
Maybe
the
he has some
experiences last night.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was the only child, and even though I was raised there in Arkansas, in the South, I actually got everything that I wanted, everything that I wanted, that they thought I wanted, I got it. The owner of the plantation again was named R.A. Pickens, and he owned the plantation. And I remember every Christmas, every child on the plantation got a bag of goodies, a bag of apples and oranges and all kinds of candy and stuff. And for them, this is the only time that probably they got that. But me, I got it all through all yeah,
Year
right,
round.
all year round.
I
I
guess
got it.
I would be remiss because a lot of your children and their children and their children, we hear about that time of you were saying on the plantation and racism. And I like to hear any stories that you remember.
Okay.
Even though it seems like you were pretty sheltered.
I was pretty
Did
sheltered.
you get any kind of experience that you know that exists?
Oh yeah, oh definitely yes. Like I say, my grandfather worked for the owner of the plantation.
And his name was?
His name was R.A. Pickens.
Okay.
And so we lived, in pretty nice home. We lived right there in the little town as it was. And later on, Mr. R.A. he built a new home, and we was the only black family there with live with the restroom inside, and we had gas, gas stove and all of that. But coming up, my last year there in Arkansas was a really taste of what prejudice was like.
Can you tell me the year that was?
I guess it had to be in 52, 1952, right. Mr. Adams on this plantation, there was 4 section straw bosses. Mr. R.A. He had 4 people that was bosses of different section, and the section we live in, this guy, he was the boss, and I talked him into letting me drive a tractor, and driving the tractor, that was just like a toy.
Do you remember how old you were?
Let's see, probably 17, 17 years old, and I was driving the tractor and making $4 a day. I mean, I would have did it for nothing. It was so much fun to me being a kid, being able to drive a tractor. And so this is my worst experience. Maybe I should tell you about the first bad experience I had. My uncle that lived in St. Louis, he had sold us a car, and what I would do is I would work all week, and I would make $24, for working that week, and I would take $4 and fill the car up with gas. And what I would do, I would take people back and forth from Pickens to Dumas, and sell probably about 9 o'clock. I'd be done made my money back, so I would give my grandmother the $20 that I made, because I'd be done made enough money. So I drove up to the service station to get some gas. And so I blew the horn, and so this white man, and I don't know what possessed him to react the way he did, because he knew that we was, he knew who we was, So anyway, he came out, and he told me, he says, don't you ever blow, drive at this station and blow your horn, for someone to come out. I will take you down to the lake bank. We live right across the little river. I will take you down to the lake bank, and what I will do for you. And my little buddy with me, I never forget him. When I looked, boy, his eyes seemed like they was that big, But it really didn't scare me. All I knew was he wasn't taking me down to no lake bank. I wasn't going to go, so I didn't get scared of him. The next bad incident I had, like I said, Mr. Adams let me drive his tractor, and so what I was doing, I was hauling cotton, bales of cotton, to the gin. And so a gin is where you go to have the cotton gin, and you in line. And so as one is gets service, you move up. And so the straw boss, this is the guy that's underneath the boss of that territory. He walks up, and he walks up to the tractor, and he tells me, don't you push that trailer with that tractor anymore. And so I told him that I didn't push the trailer. He said, you did, and I didn't. He said, you did push that trailer. I said, no, I didn't push the trailer. He said, you calling me a lie? And so I said, no, I'm just telling you that. And with that, he broke for me. And so when he broke for me, all those tractor drivers carried a hammer underneath our seat to drive the pin in when we hook up to a trailer or whatever we pull in. So when he broke for me, I just moved over to the side and got that big hammer that I had, And so he stopped. And so I said, no, come on. And so I begged for him to come on, And so he just stopped and looked at me, I was sitting there with the hammer, already, I'm going to pound this white man as long as I could see him with this hammer. And so he stopped and he looked at me, And so then he walked away. He walked back over. The owner, the boss of the plantation, just happened to be sitting in his truck. And so he walked over, and started talking to him. And so I said, well, to myself, how this going to go down, So I'm sitting there, still in line. And so pretty soon, Mr. Adam, he called me. He said, Perry, he says, when you get that bail jan off, he told me where to go to pick up the next bail. So I said, okay. So the next morning when I went to work, we went to work, and the place that we go is called a lot. This is where you go to get your tractor or your mule or whatever you're going to get for that day. And so when I went to get my tractor, I was letting what they call the coal fuel out of the carburetor, getting ready to start my tractor. So here come the straw boss, this man that had this. Yeah. So he comes over and he walks up to me and he said, Perry, I want you to know I've killed 2 men and they didn't do nothing to me. And if I kill you, they're not going to do anything to me. So I didn't say nothing. I just looked at him. All I know, you're going to have to bring something to get some, that's all I knew. So your grandparents, they taught us, you don't sass, your elders, But then I wasn't taking no whooping either. So I don't know what happened. I still don't understand how the words got around. But Mama told Daddy, which was at that time living in Sacramento, you better send and get this boy because he's going to get in trouble down here, But what she was talking about, I was going to mess up some girl and get stuck, in Arkansas for the rest of my life. So that was the 2 bad experiences that I had, the only real bitter experience I had in my childhood.
Okay. So Mom comes back to you and tell us about your siblings.
My siblings, I had 2 brothers and myself in Arkansas. And
Tell
we
us
was
the order. Who's
the order. My
oldest?
brother was the oldest. His name was Cecil. And then I was born. And then my brother Joe. And, about 3 years apart between all of us. So it was
And you guys were born where?
in Arkansas.
Okay. So as childhood memories, what do you remember? You were born around the same time and where there was prejudice going on. And how was your schooling? Did you go to
I didn't go to school. No, I don't remember going to school there. But I remember my grandmother lived in Hope, and we used to go there. But as far as school, I don't, because I must have been about 5 or 6 when we left and moved to Phoenix. So I don't
were there all
remember.
black children in your class when you were going to school?
In Phoenix, yes. Yes, we went to school. It was a little school called Dunbar. I went there, and when I graduated from there, 5th, then we went to Mary Methune, and when I was about 8 or 9 there in Phoenix. And then we moved but the way when we left, my dad went into service. No, we were in Phoenix when he went into service, but he went to Phoenix first because my Uncle Edmund, which is Clifton's father, he used to carry people from Charles to Phoenix to pick cotton and going on, and that's the way my dad got to Phoenix. And then, but we stayed with my grandmother, his mother, and then when he got settled there, then I remember us getting on the train, coming to Phoenix.
The 4 of you, your mother and your
The 3 children, yeah.
And your mom.
Yeah, we did. And my oldest brother, he had polio. His whole left side was crippled, and he used to have, they used to call him epileptic seizures then. But then he, because his birthday is August 16th, and from August 16th to October, the next year I was born, so we were pretty close. And then my other brother. But we moved to Phoenix, and I remember going to school there. And I remember we were there. My dad was in service, so it was nice. I had a nice childhood.
Okay, how long did you guys stay in Phoenix?
We stayed in Phoenix about 6 years.
So you were in Shaw,
Shaw's.
Shaw's
Uh-huh.
up until you were about 5 years old, and then you moved to Phoenix.
Right.
What part of
Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
and that's where you went to school.
That's where I went to school, and that's where I first started school.
And how long did you guys stay in Phoenix?
We stayed in Phoenix to 1947. I remember us coming to Stockton. We didn't stay long, and my mother and the kids went back to Phoenix. And my dad, he had went into service, but when he got discharged, we moved to. He got discharged in Stockton.
Okay.
So, but then we went back to Phoenix, and then in 1949 we went back to to Stockton, and we stayed there until I got married.
So how old were you then?
When we first
you
went,
permanently start staying in Stockton?
11 or 12, yeah, around 11 or 12.
So you were going to school.
Yes.
Okay. So do you remember anything else going on?
It was school. I don't remember the name of the school, but then I know right back in those days, I graduated from Edison High School, and that was the 10th grade. And then when I left there, I went to this vocational school, which I took cosmetology.
So you're saying that school was only up until the 10th grade?
Well, high school.
High school only went to the 10th grade.
Yeah.
And you graduated, and then you went to vocational school for cosmetology. Okay.
I did, but back in those days, you didn't get any practice on black hair. And they had these chemicals, and they smelled so bad. And I complained so much until my mom let me stop. And I had a good grade, but then that's one thing I wish she had made me keep going with.
Okay. All right. So now you're up through, you're out of high school and into cosmetology school.
Well, it was cosmetology plus the 11th and 12th grade. I was going to school to finish the 12th.
It did go up to 12th
Yeah,
grade.
oh yeah.
Okay, but the last 2 years, you were able to do the vocational.
Well, I was doing both.
Okay.
The cosmetology only went to 12, and then I would go to regular school to finish.
12
and that's where I graduated from, the 12th grade.
Okay. All right, good. All right, Daddy, we're going to swing back over to you and get you up to high school. Where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in Dumas, and the name of the school was Omega. That's where I went until I came to Sacramento. And after I came to Sacramento, which had to be in I suppose it was a 53 or 52? 52, yeah. I came here to Sacramento to live with my dad. As I first said, my grandmother told her he had to get me out of there.
Your dad came to Pickens and got you?
No, I came to Sacramento by myself on a train. And it didn't seem like I would never get here. I thought I was going to the end of the world. And I was so excited in a way to leave Pickens because I didn't think I'd ever see dirt or ground anymore. I just pictured California as just being all pavement and buildings. Well, that's not so. But anyway, when I came here, I went to McClatchy High School, and that's why I graduated from McClatchy High School.
Okay. So how different was it from you transitioning from Pickens to Sacramento, California?
It was very different. For one thing, when I started going to McClatchy, there wasn't many black children going to McClatchy. Most black children went to Sacramento High. But for whatever reason, for whatever reason, because I was actually closer to Sacramento, to Sac High than I was McClatchy. But for whatever reason, I went to McClatchy. And every day without fail, that there was a fight. And the few blacks that was there, they would always come up on the winner, and I was, well, I mean, how come you guys jumping on the guys. And so one day at recess, we were playing basketball, and this white guy named Zazzy, he and we was about the same height, about the same size, but playing basketball, I jumped for the rebound, and it happened a couple of times, and I got the ball. Well, the last time and as I was in the stretch, he elbowed me in my side. Well, I knew we was going to fight, but I'm going to tell him why he was wrong. So I'm standing up there, with my hand to my side, and then I was telling him, but man, you shouldn't have done that. Well, the next thing I know, I'm seeing the most beautiful stars. I never seen stars that pretty before, not since. This guy had teed off on me. I never been hit that hard, seemed like, and so I'm just sort of, trying to get my wits together, and all I can see, because my eyes, you can't stop the water when somebody hits you in the nose, and so I'm trying to get myself clear, and all I can see him wading in, for another blow, and so I threw a punch, and I knew if I miss, I'm gonna sell. My feet are gonna get me out of this. But luckily, I hit him right there, hit him in the stomach. When I done that, he went, oh, well, I go, oh yeah. And so I went to work, and then now here come the coach to stop the fight. So the coach came over, he stops the fight, and so by the time the reset was over, it's time for us to go in and take a shower. And so I was taking a shower.
That was in high school.
That's in high school. Okay. I'm taking a shower, and then I look up, and here comes Zaz, and I'm thinking, oh Lord, I got to fight this guy again. But he wasn't coming over to fight; he was coming over to apologize, and I was glad he was coming over to apologize and not to fight. I really didn't want. I didn't want no more of this white guy, This thing about white people can't fight is not the truth.
Okay. So we've graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do after we graduate, Mom?
I worked.
You said where'd you work?
I even worked before I graduated.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, I worked in the tomato fields. I picked cotton. I windrowed onions.
Rode onions.
Yeah, that's when you pull it up and just lay it down for it to dry.
Oh, okay.
And we used to go down, well, it would be something like Oak Park in Stockton, downtown on this street where a lot of the, I guess, homeless or whatever they call it. And we would get on a bus and go out. And at this time, we belonged to the Adventist church, too. That was after I was in the Adventist church, because we all used to go. I guess it went from summer to summer. But I helped pick cotton.
Pick cotton and pick tomatoes and roll the onions.
Yeah, I picked tomatoes all day just to get me some Spalding shoes, which cost $10. But I didn't make but 5. But my dad said, if you make 5, I'll pay the other 5. And I got them and kept them.
So speaking of your parents, what type of work were they doing?
Well, my dad, when he came out of the service, he started working at Sharp General Depot as a tire repairman. But my mother, she really never went out and worked. She always did housework and stuff like that when she worked. Her and my Aunt Easter, one of her sisters. Because we lived side by side there in Phoenix, yeah. It was nice.
Okay, Dad. So what was your first job after high school?
Well, I used to go downtown early in the morning, and we would load up, get on buses, and we would go to the tomato field to pick tomatoes. So I had been told by guys, that's not where you make your money swamping. And swamping was you would load the tomato truck. And so I'm picking tomatoes, and so along with Freddie, my stepbrother, we out there picking tomatoes, and so the guy hollered, "I need swampers." I almost threw my arm out of slot, raising my hand because I want to make me some big money. And so he says, "Okay." So he chose me, and went on over to the truck, semi, truck and pulling trailer, and he's pulling this trailer. And so this guy, the guy was already standing, he was on the trailer standing on top. So he asked me, did I want to work on the top or did I want to work on the bottom, picking it because they had the boxes stacked up at the end of the road. And so you would put them on the truck, and then he would stack them up on the truck. So I said, well, man, you're already up there, so I'll just stay down here. And so the truck driver, he's sitting there, he's looking through the rearview mirror, and so he drive up, to the stack, and boxes of tomatoes is heavy.
Yes.
That morning I hadn't ate breakfast, I hadn't done anything, and so, man, but I'm all excited, so I stop, boom, boom, and so I told the truck driver, he was stopping. So I told him, hey, man, no need to stop. Just continue on the drive slow, I'm going to hurry up and make this money, Boom. So I began to weak, because them boxes was heavy. And so the last time I tried to get that box to the top, I didn't make it. I spilled the box, And so I said, hey, I can't make it no further, But that was my experience with that. The next job I had that I can remember, the second job I guess was working with this black guy. He was I don't know what you call it, but a tile. He was a tile setter. And so Mr. Baker, and they'll will forget his name, So I was working with him, and he was teaching me how to do this tile, and this white stuff in the middle where you see this white stuff that separate the tile is called grout. And you get that stuff under your hand, it eats your hand, it's not good, not good at all. And so that was my second job, and then I used to the next would be after we got married, right?
All right.
Oh, and I did housework too.
Okay, in Stockton.
In Stockton, I did hair in Stockton.
So, I was kind of talking about, the whole racial issues. Was that some of the normal jobs that the African Americans had, or were there other jobs too, or how did that all come into play? Could you tell that only jobs were for blacks versus whites? Did you?
I really didn't know at that time. Because my mom, she never really got out and work, She would go and do a little housework. And she was never a person that went out and worked in the public or anything. So I never even thought about it because for as me, I really didn't know too much about prejudice because I never really been around where I've seen nobody treat me different or anything as far as work or anything. Because by us leaving out of Arkansas so young, then I really never
That's
knew.
really interesting because, we tend to hear different all the time. And I would feel like you would, and for you to say you really didn't know too much about it or you didn't have any experience.
I didn't have any experience because even there in Shaw's, it mostly was black people when I was 5 or 6. I just remember my auntie, my uncles, and my cousins and all of them. So I was just around, it may be like from me to LaDonna, we would walk and then go another because they were living good places apart. But as far as I know.
Do you ever remember your parents, warning you about
I don't
prejudice
even,
or not to go in this area or not to go into this establishment
I don't even remember.
or anything?
My dad, he had an easy life coming up. My mother probably had a little harder because her mother died when she was about 7, I think. And then my grandfather married Miss Lou Mary. So then I wasn't around them too much, but she was saying that she treated them different, her children, and because she married my grandfather and he had 7 kids.
Okay, and they became a blended family?
Yeah, blended family. And it really wasn't a happy, because my mother said she'd be perfect when he was around. But when he wasn't around, she would, beat him and wouldn't give him stuff. And that's one reason she said she got married early, because she wanted to get out of the house. And
Okay, Dad. What did your father do? What type of work did he do? Was he in the service?
Yes, he was in the Air Force. He was
Somerville.
Moran Somerville. He was stationed at Matherfield, and which is no longer a base anymore. Yeah, right. Yeah. So that's where he was.
And what did he do?
I think he was a cook. He was a cook in the service. Right. Mm-hmm.
All right, good.
Right.
And then your stepmother, Mary.
Stepmother, she worked in the home for some of the white people, right? Yeah.
but she worked in, was it wine stocks in some of them places?
I don't know. I know sister did. Sister,
did.
well, right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You said sister, so that would be
My auntie,
and her name?
Leona Woods. That's my dad's sister, but her nickname, everybody called her sister.
Let's talk about how you two became one. Who wants to start? Okay. Mom,
Yes.
how did you two become one? How did you meet? How old were you? Where were you? Was it an event? Was it just passing along the sidewalk and eyes met, or how did it happen?
Well, the way we met, back in the 51, I got baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And back in those days, the churches fellowshipped a lot. They would come to Stockton and give us a program, or we come to Sacramento, go to Vallejo. The black churches would, because blacks had their church, white had theirs here. And so this particular Saturday, we came down and gave a program for the Sacramento. It's called YPWW then?
BYPU.
YPU, Young People's
BYPU.
No, that's Baptist stuff.
Well,
Anyway, but it's
AY.
called AY now, Missionary Volunteers.
Okay.
And so we came down and we gave a program. And usually when we give a program, they would have a social wherever we were for the young people. It was more or less getting the young people together, having games, and we would play games, Steal Miss Liza, and marching, and just doing different things to mix. So we were playing a game. They were getting ready to play Steal Miss Liza, and he was standing off over there in a little corner like he was lost, and I knew he was new. We knew Freddie, and it was his brother, and he just got here that Thursday, and this was that Saturday. So then I just went over and asked him, would he like to be my partner in this game? And he said he would, so that's how we met.
Okay, so had you already spotted her, Dad, or?
oh yes, I had. I had already spotted her, but like she just stated, I'm the new kid in town. As a matter of fact, we just got here that Thursday, and this is Saturday of the same week. And they having a social, so I saw this fine chick standing over there. I even remember the dress, the skirt that she was wearing. It was pleated all the way, from the waist all the way down to the end, and so I'm saying to myself, I don't want to start no waves, her being fine like that. I know she must have a boyfriend, and so I don't want to start nothing. So I'm just looking at her, and so when she came over and asked me, I want to march, so, And from that moment on, that's all I needed because I had a gift to gab. I had a mouth. I could talk, you know. And so, so, so from then on, you know, we connected. And like she said, she lived in Stockton. I'm living here in Sacramento, you know. So the way for us to see each other, I would hitchhike.
You wrote me letters.
Yeah, I wrote her letters, and later on, I find out that my letters was their amusement. She would read. She would give it her parents, mom and dad, and they would read the letters that I'm writing her. You know, because my handwriting was so bad, it took all of them to try to figure out what I'm actually
It
saying.
did.
But from then on, you know, she became my girlfriend.
So you didn't have a girlfriend at that time?
Oh no, I just got here that
just got here,
Thursday,
okay.
right? And so,
All right.
right.
So then how long did that courtship last?
Maybe, I don't know, did it last 6 months?
Mm.
About 6
wasn't
months. I
there.
guess about six,
You don't know.
about 6 months that we, you know, because like he said, I lived in Stockton and he lived here, and it wasn't like we had no. Did we have telephones? We had telephones then.
Ooh, yeah,
But then, you know, you had to pay for every minute you call and talk to someone. It wasn't you just pick up and call. And that was pretty expensive, so we would write letters. And he would write a letter, I'd write a letter, and his writing was, you probably seen it like now. It wasn't the best writing to try to read. So we would read it to figure out what he was saying. And
So
what
when did it grow serious to the part that marriage came up?
well, we did get back together, and
There was a breakup
yes, that was a breakup. Not a breakup, yes.
within the 6 months.
Yeah, I think it was 6 months. You think it was? No, it couldn't have been longer because he had just got here.
yeah.
I don't know if it was that long. And we wouldn't hear from each other maybe once a month or something. And they had the general conference. That's when every 5 years we still have them. And we met over in Oakland. And this is when I found out we were broke up. But anyway, thank the Lord, we got back together.
And then after that, how soon did you get married?
Maybe another couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
So how did the proposal come about?
Well, I proposed to Mama. I believe we were in the living room, and
No, he proposed for me the night I graduated.
yeah, that's true.
From 12th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And we were somewhere in the car we had rode, and that's when he gave me the watch, and we got engaged.
Dad, you were Adventist too at the time?
Yeah, per se, as it was, you know.
Okay.
Mom and Dad, that's what they was, you know. So when you're children, you go to the same church, you
Right.
know. Right.
So you guys got married on what day? And where?
We got married February the 2nd, which is Groundhog Day, in Reno, Nevada.
Okay, and who was present?
Belinda. My mom, my dad, sister, and Uncle Woods, his aunt and Uncle Woods, and Freddie, and Edna. Yeah.
Okay.
Real quick, can you, when you guys talk, or both of you guys talk about how you knew the other one was the one you wanted to marry? Like, when was that moment? Can you describe that moment, or if it was a moment, what happened?
When I first saw her, you know, I said to myself, wow, you know, woo. And so from that point on, I was serious until the breakup. The breakup, you know, was between Ella Spears. He was a popular speaker, and his daughter Rosemary, and she lived right down the street from us. And that was someone that I could see any time because she was right there. But then when we got back together, when I finally talked her into it, no one was for it. Her folks wasn't for it, she wasn't for it, and that's the first time that her brother and I really had crossed words. We was just about ready to go to blows, because her friends, the boys down there in Stockton, they was upset with me from the get-go because I'm down there, and so I thought it was going to be a fight, but I thought I could handle all of them, but anyhow, I just knew that she was the one, but I don't.
My daddy
Yeah.
And your daddy what?
say that he would marry me. I wasn't a person who had a lot of boyfriends. I probably had about maybe 4 or 5 in my life. And then by him being in the church, same church and everything, then, and the other ones wasn't, that played a good part. And I always prayed for a good husband. I prayed and asked the Lord to send me a husband. A lot of times we pray for a husband, but we want him to send it. And you look at people and you say, well, oh yeah, he look good and all that. But it's not that. It's not that. It's a person that the Lord, and in your heart that you can feel that he's the one. So that did it. And then when he started thumbing, hitchhiking down to Stockton, because he couldn't get his parents' car, then, that showed a lot that he cared for me, too.
I leave on Wednesday night and get back Thursday morning. Sometimes the sun will be up shining because you have to thumb back, too. And then they lived a long ways from the freeway, so you had to get to the freeway. And her father was very nice. I remember he offered to take me, from the house over to the freeway, a couple times.
When you thought about a wife, Dad, what was some of your, what was on your checklist?
Well, to be honest, I just saw what I saw what I thought I liked. She was looking good, and that's what I wanted, But I'd always been used to my parents, my grandparents, both sets of grandparents, because I had 2 sets, was good cook. And I said, I want a woman that can cook, And so her parents were good cook, then I found out that she could cook, but the way she looked had overshadowed all that, I just saw what I wanted and went for it.
Well, camera's pointing on the picture behind you, so we know what you were looking at. Okay, so then after you guys got married, then tell us about going into your children and where you lived. How did you pick your first home? How did all that come into play?
Well, as far as our first home, when we came from Reno, we went back to his parents' house. And we were just sitting around there talking and going on. And pretty soon people just started disappearing, but we didn't know where they were going. And anyway, we ended up getting in. You had a car then? You had that 49 Ford. And he said, we going to see, what did you tell me? Something.
I don't remember what I told her, but what had happened is I was working for the county, and CV Circle, you know what CV Circle is now down on Broadway, was very hot. Huh? New Hampshire, right. New Hampshire was right on Broadway. CV Circle is the one behind, right. So people had application into those places for years trying to get in. It was a hard place to get in, but all I knew is we're going to get married pretty soon, and I'm going to need some place to go because I was not going to live with my folks. And so every day, just about, I would stop by to ask these people, could I get in? Can I get a place? Can I get a place? So I felt they just finally got tired of me, and so they gave us a place. And it's 675 Warner Street. LaDonna probably still remember that. Where we lived at 675 Warner Street.
Hey.
So they gave us a place, and this is where I took her, there. And mother, she had assist me in furnishing off the place, bought the furniture, and I was only getting paid once a month. I was making $175 a month for the county. And I believe in eating. All I know, we wasn't gonna go hungry. And I had the in the pantry, man, it was just almost bored, coming and bending in the middle with canned food and stuff, food that I had bought, but we wasn't gonna go hungry. And this is where I took her, and her mother, mama and mother, was upstairs, compared to upstairs and downstairs, and they were coming downstairs there, and I guess mother was in front, and I guess mama was in front, her mother, and mother, I guess she must have slipped. But anyway, but boom, 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 downstairs they came.
But anyway, he took me over to that place, and when we walked in, they all was there in the apartment. Very nice.
It was all furnished and everything.
Yeah.
And back in those days, the girls would always have a hope chest, you save and have a little stuff. And he had came down and got all my stuff. I didn't know nothing about it. It wasn't much,
So
but
you had a hope chest.
oh yes.
And then children came.
Children came. Yes, praise the Lord. Yeah, Belinda was our first daughter, born July 28, 1956. Then July 28, 1957, LaDonna came. Then, 1959, Cammie was born.
June the 15th.
Yes, June 15th, which is today. When we got married, like he said, what you had, $30
Yeah, we had
to last for the month.
for the month, and I had this portable player, and what would happen about the third week of the month, we run out of money.
That's when we first got married.
Yeah, well, that I was a hustler. Over by New Hampshire was this area where truck come, what like a warehouse, and I would unload and load tomatoes, load trucks. But as I would start to say, about the third week of the month, because we only got paid once a month, I would take this hi-fi down to the pawn shop, and I would pawn this hi-fi, so we have money that lasts us the rest of the month.
And not only that, when my parents would come, they would
Yeah.
always give us $1 or $2
Yeah.
or $5 or $10.
Yeah, and that was, they give us $4 or $5. No, they would just give us, money. But
And his dad would too.
yeah.
I remember one time he gave us $10, and I took this $10 and I went to the store and I bought material. And all of my kids had new dress on. I was sewing then. And I had a new, well, I must not, because I was pregnant. I even made me a maternity thing because, we wore the full top and the bottom. And they were all dressed for Easter and everything.
And then Dorothy and James, they was in the picture, and they knew
Okay, so who was Dorothy and James?
Dorothy and James was members of the church, and they were just good people, and they just really sort of took us under their wings, I tear up when I think about them.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. I knew them before he got out here. They were just anything she thought we wanted or needed. It was there for us.
So you knew Dorothy
Dorothy and Jane.
Before we got married, and
How did you know them? Because they lived here and you lived in Stockton.
Because the church.
Oh,
The
okay.
church and the churches would fellowship and
And
go
they
on.
were already married.
Yeah, and then I think they had relatives in Stockton too. They would come and visit. And
yeah,
they
and-
were married and had all of their kids. 4
Okay.
kids.
But you know, they were just really a lot of help to us, you know, and they would you know, just sort of come to the side. I remember I used to borrow James' car, you know, and he would let me have it, you know, and yeah, so
But anyway, our children.
yeah.
We had 3 beautiful girls, which we loved very much.
And you guys stayed at the apartment?
We stayed at an
And
apartment.
how long did you live there?
We
Until
lived there
1903.
until 63.
3.
And then you moved to?
Right here.
Okay.
2604
And how did this
51st
house
Avenue.
come about? You found the house, you moved in.
Yeah, we were looking. We decided we were going to look for a house. And we had been round to sister, his uncle and Amy. And we was on our way back down on Broadway. And we saw the for sale sign on there. And we stopped. And we
Can you
talked.
tell us how much did you pay for this house?
$12,950. Never will forget it.
In 1962 or 3?
63.
63. 12,000.
$950.
And what was the deposit like there?
Uh,
Or
What,
I
what,
shouldn't say deposit, down payment.
what was it? 500? I think
Well,
it
it
was.
wasn't much.
I think it was $500 we had to pay
You had to
down.
pay that. And then the payment was what?
Our payment start off was $100. I think it was $132 because after
It
we
was lower.
I think it was 132, but after about a year or so, it went way up. We went to 136.
Ooh.
It took,
I'm not sure about that, but anyway. Were you still working at the county? Then?
Yeah.
No, you retired. And some kind of way we got money, and that's what we put down to get here.
I don't know. I don't know how we got the money, but anyway, we got it, the money. But you know, we were really excited about this house. It had all hardwood floors, and we just really fell in love with it. You know, it had fruit trees in the back. Had another little house that you guys really enjoyed in the back there. A little shed. It wasn't a house, a little shed. You know, but this is where it all started. I mean, and. We tried to, well, I wanted to move a couple of times. Mama never wanted to move because I wanted to move to Land Park. And Dorothy, who we talked about, she was in the real estate business, and she was trying to get us to move, you know. Mama wouldn't budge. So.
No, with what you were making, it was almost impossible, and you're struggling already.
We had 3 girls. So
3
where did
girls.
the 2 boys come in?
They came in 9 years and a few months later. Well, at the time I wasn't even pregnant. It was going on, and this man named James Newsom, he got to talking to your dad, telling him something about he wouldn't have a woman.
Man, I wouldn't have no woman that fine, wouldn't have me no boys, man. Shoot, man, I give me some boys. I give me a boy, man. I give me a
But
boy.
anyway, I was on the pill, so we got off. We thought it'd take us about 6 months, but it didn't take that long to get pregnant. And then we had little Perry.
Oh, right. And Perry was born in
February 23rd, 1969.
And then shortly after,
George. 7 months later, I was pregnant again. He was born July 28, 1970.
Well, we know how Perry got his name. Tell me about George's name.
Well, first Perry's name, when it first came up, we wasn't gonna have no juniors. No, that's out of the picture, because I had been pregnant 3 times, and there never was nothing about no junior being mentioned having. And we were looking for boys every time, but we never had a junior. Said junior, so we got into an argument, and he wanted this junior when I got pregnant. I said, well, I sure ain't gonna name him that. Mm-hmm. I did, but then after he came here, we named him Perry Somerville Jr. And George, the way he got his name, my husband came to me, and he said, honey, honey. I said, yeah. He said, I got the baby's name. And I said, you do? I said, what is it? He said, Johnny Moran Somerville. I said, that's dead. My daddy's name gonna go somewhere. So I just left, and then he came back 2 or 3 days, and he said, well, George Moran Somerville. I said, that's fine.
It's 2019, and you guys got married in.
56,
February 2nd.
And you've been married for how many years?
63 years.
63 years. So the question that everybody wants to know is, how'd you do it? You have 5 children. You have your home. You have life. How did you navigate yourself?
Well, we don't get the credit, only God. Just trying to follow the word and follow God, what he told us to do when you were married. You become one. So we have really tried to be one.
Dad?
Well, just sort of piggyback on what Mama just said. We know, looking back, it had to be God, because I never was a man of means. Never made a whole lot of money. Most time I had 2 jobs. You're working, trying to make ends meet. And Mama became a professional shopper, I would say, because you guys, she made sure that when you guys went someplace, you guys looked just as good as anybody else. She made sure that, with the little money that I made,
That we made.
She would sew, she would do things, and vacation, we would go on vacations. We would go down to this finance company, public finance, borrow money. We'd go on vacation, and we would do that. We would go places, we would do things. We always had, and we know it had to be God that provided all our needs, and so it was, it wasn't smooth sailing. I don't want to make it sound like everything was smooth. We had arguments, we had disagreements,
Was there ever a point where you thought maybe we will not be together?
Yeah. I left home one day to never, ever return. Yeah. I left home for good. My jaws was moochy tight. I got all the way down to 47th Avenue, and it hit me. No man is going to raise my kids, going to tell my kids to agree with because I knew that if they tell me that he done something, I'm going to jail, but he going down. So I turned around and came back. That's not the last argument that we had. I'm sure, we still have disagreements now, but it was a tug of war, I mean, I had my ways, she had her ways, She was stubborn and still is, and I was and I was headstrong, I'm the man, I'm the boss, It was a tug of war, who's going to be the boss, and it never should be that way, It should be together on everything. But we give the credit to the Lord. It's God that kept us together, you know.
And Mom, was there any time that you thought you were done?
Well, yeah, I have left. I don't know if you guys remember. He said he don't remember. Not to be gone, just to get away from the house right then. I never left only one time and spent a night away from home by myself because you guys, and when I did leave, I called and gave y'all the phone number where I was and told you you were old enough. But anyway, some kind of way he got it, and the next morning the knock was on the door at the hotel.
Come home.
But anyway, I always had jobs. I mean, I didn't work out the house, but I worked here. As far as babysitting, one time I had 9 kids. As far as doing hair, Dorothy back, our friend, dear friend, Lord have mercy, miss her. I'd help her in her restrooms and things. We would, you know. So the Lord made a way. He really did.
We both hustlers,
And
both of
then,
us
you
two
know,
hustlers.
we had you guys going to the sales with us so we could
Yeah.
have towels and sheets and all that stuff. God is great.
So, any advice that you would give to couples who are married, maybe thinking about marriage, in a tough place within their marriage? What advice would you give? I'm going to ask you first, Mom.
Okay, the first advice I would give them, be one. And what I mean by that, go, when you marry, when I married him, I married his family too. They became my family, and likewise with him. But go places together. Always go and carry your kids to different things, and it really helped us. Whatever one did, the other one did it. It wasn't your parents and my parents. We never had that problem at all. So it's been nice. It's been nice. So I would just advise them to communicate. That's some of our problems. Communicate, talking. But most of all, you know, you can talk and you can hear, but it's a difference in talking and hearing and listening. Because when you're listening, you don't have in your mind that what you're going to say. You have in mind to pick out the positive thing that the person is saying, not the negative. Look for the positive in everything, because there is good. I don't care how bad nothing is. You can find some good in it if you listen and wait till the Lord lets you give you the answer.
Dad, your advice?
Is, you know, everybody wants to be right. When you have an argument, nobody wants to be wrong. Everybody wants to be right. Just don't dwell on who's right. Try to dwell on what's right. Try to always keep a level head, you know, and be sensible. You both know what is right, you know, but even if you're wrong, you want to try to prove that you were right, you know, because, well, maybe, but if you hadn't have done that, I never would have done this, you know. So just decide what's right, not who's right.
Now, I know that it's probably been a few years now, but there is I don't want to say ritual, but maybe it is, that's something you guys started to do and have said that it made a big difference early in the morning. First thing.
is to pray together. That is.
How did that come about, and what was the benefit to that?
It is nothing like, the benefit is nothing like hearing your partner pray for you. Not pray on you, but pray for you. There's a difference between praying on you and praying for you. As you can actually use prayer to fight, you know. Right, right. But to pray for each other. I don't recall what happened. It must have been someone that said it, you know.
That advised you to
Right,
do it, that's how
right,
it started?
yeah, right. But it started, man, and that's one of the best things that we could have ever done, because it shortened up our period of time of arguing with each other, you know, and it helped us to be more forgiving because my jaws would be tight, and my jaws might be tight for a week, you know.
Amen.
And you know, and all that waste of time, you know, that you spent because you ain't going nowhere.
Right.
You just mad, you know. So, and you know, so it helped. This praying together, you know, how you gonna pray? You know, every morning pray together and ask the Lord to help you do this and help you do that. You know, help you to be forgiven and all that, and then you not start to come around. So. He actually stopped my lips at a lot of times, you know, stopped my time. And you know, arguing really is just a waste of time, you know, because you're not going to the place you know you love each other, and you're not going to put hands on each other. That's a no-no, you know. So why do it, you know?
What has praying with Dad done for you, Mom, every morning?
It has done really helped me knowing that you are praying and ask the Lord to lead your steps that day and to help you do what He wants us to do and to love one another.
Something has just came on to me, and I know that life happens. And our family has grown over the years. God has truly blessed us. But I'm sure that there's more to come. This family will continue to grow. If you are not present to talk to them, I want you both to leave us with something that you would want the next generation to know about you. I'm going to have you go first, Mom, and then Dad, I'm going to have you.
Okay.
We're going to pass this on to all family, and the ones that are here will have the privilege to know the things that we've talked about today. And I know that we're going to want to share this as our family grows. So what would you want this whole family that has started with you and Dad, and you've talked about your grandparents, you've talked about your great-grandparents, you've talked about friends, you've talked about growing up, you've talked about your journey of life. So talk to us, talk to the ones that are coming.
Well, I just hope that they will know that God is first and to always pray and ask Him to lead you, to guide you, protect you, always show love. It's nothing like having a family that loves one another, a family that can have arguments, fights, but yet and still in the next minute turn around and hug one another and say, I love you. And you through with it then. You can't just take it year in, day in, and hold on to that. You have to let it go. Love wins everything. I don't care. You can have all the money in the world. If you don't have love, you really don't have it. If you don't have family, you can't live by yourself. And so just stick with the family, always pray, always keep in contact with each other, always go to church. Go to church. I don't care what condition you're in or whatever it is, because God, He's there. He's there. He sent angels to us. He never leaves us. We don't see Him, but we can feel Him. We know without a doubt, just looking out in the backyard. That didn't just happen. It didn't just happen. So we are so thankful and so grateful for our family. And as we continue to grow, even though we may not be here, but that's okay. We hope to leave a legacy that will say, my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, my friend. They love me. And just be an example. We can talk all day, but if you're not an example, how can you tell me to do one thing and you're doing something else? You can't do that. You just got to have that faith, but none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. I am a sinner, and I have to ask for forgiveness every day. A lot of times it's not what you do, it's the things you think about. And even if you don't say it, that's even from the devil. So don't even let the devil let you hold on to nothing. Nothing, because God is our provider and He is coming. I don't care what nobody say. I know without Him we wouldn't be here.
Okay. Dad, would you like to leave with the legacy that has started with you and Mom and beyond, and the people who know you, your grandchildren, your children, your great grandchildren, the ones that are here and the ones to come?
I would just like to say this. These are just words of advice, things that I have learned, through the marriage life, and things that I would believe would be beneficial to you guys. And I praise the Lord because I can just see so much love in all of you guys, and you guys are just like magnets. You guys draw people to you. And that's so good. It tells something about what kind of people you are. All of you guys have friends that just love you. We serve a wise God. There's a reason why He gave us one mouth and two ears. Learn to listen more, to speak less. Be good listeners, because if you listen to each other, and if you listen, there might be something that was said that you think was said, might have been said, but it might have been meant a different way. Listen, and do not react to everything. It's not necessary to say everything that you think. Remember that. Think before you speak, because when you speak, those words are out. I don't care how much you apologize, damage done. There is things even now that Mama might remember that I said that she'll never forget. I know there's things that she said to me, and that I'll never forget. You want to forgive, but there's been times when I want to say, and there might have been times when I said, yeah, I remember you said such and such a thing. So always think before you speak, because words hurt. I remember that they used to say, sticks and bones might, but words, that's a mistake. Words can hurt worse than sticks and stones, because you can get over that wound, but them words, man, they, and when you get angry, it's a true saying that the one that you love, you seem to hurt because what somebody says to you that you really love, I mean, that'll hurt worse than someone says something to you that don't care anything about you. I mean, you shake that off. You might even laugh about it, but you ain't gonna laugh at that person that said that really loved you, that said those words, same words, So be careful what you say. Think before you speak. That's so important, because so many times this thing here got me in trouble, because you said, well, did I say that? Yeah, it's too late. Yeah, you said it, Right.
So thank you. I love you. And I like to end it with just a kiss. Right here.
Love you too, baby. I love you too, baby.
Thanks for
Well, I just want to thank you both. I just know that what you have given to me is something that is priceless. And when you speak about what you may see out of me and the rest of the siblings, we never can take any credit because we give it right back to our parents who can give it to their parents, and ultimately we all know that the giver of all that is God.
That's right.
And if there's anything else that you want to share, we now have people here. Anything, anybody want to ask or anything like that, we're just going to make all of this wisdom, all of the journey, be available to everyone. And we just want to thank you for taking out the time. And I just thank God for you. I thank God for the good times. I thank God for the bad times, because all of that has made you who you are. And there's no words to explain who you are to me, who you are to my other sisters and my brothers. And not only that, you may have only birthed the 5, but Brenda's here. She said 6. I'm sure if we had countless other people that you have always embraced. And I know that comes from Big Mama, how Big Mama fostered a lot of children, and we have never seen you guys really turn away anyone. Have always showed love to everyone, and that's what this is all about. Even the little ones in the room, I think everyone can testify to that.